Hello, all. Very good morning. It's a pleasure to meet you after almost a week's break. Let's do a quick audio and video check. If you can hear me, see me, and the slide deck that I'm sharing with you right now, please do acknowledge to the chat window on your left. All right. Very good morning, all. Are you able to see my screen? Are you able to hear me well? All right, thank you. Thank you so much for the acknowledgement. So let's just give a couple of minutes for rest of our attendees to join the session. And while we wait for them, my colleagues will be posting the links to our social media handles. Please do follow us and keep yourself posted on upcoming events and other workshops that we plan for the region. And not just that, even today's workshop will be recorded end to end, and we will share the recording with you shortly after the session. Okay, let me quickly check for our attendees today. All right, looks like we have enough number of attendees. So let me move forward with the session, starting with an overview of Showtime. There are a couple of tabs towards your left. The first one is the questions tab. If you have any questions during the session, please be sure to post them in the questions tab. This will help us answer all your questions one by one in an orderly fashion. And this also ensures that none of your questions go unanswered. And next we have the polls tab. We will be rolling out a couple of polls during this session. Please ensure that you participate in all of these polls to keep this workshop engaged. And we are not new to the chat window. We've already been communicating through the chat window. If there should be an issue with audio or video, you could always let us know through the chat window. However, if there is an issue with audio or video, the general fix would be to refresh your browser because 99% of the time it tends to resolve the issue. And last but not the least, we have the handouts where we've attached a PDF with few helpful links that is aligned towards today's session. Please do download it anytime before the session ends. The topic for today is the silver lining to a saturated cloud, and this is going to be powered by Zoho Flow. I'm John Wilfred, an evangelist with Zoho. So is my colleague Anjana Mahesh, and we will be your host for today. On the Q&A, we have Gautam, who will be answering all your questions while your trainer Rahul is going to take you through the concepts and the product, Zoho Flow. And just before you start, please ensure that you have signed into your Zoho account if you wish to share our actions. And you may need admin privilege to access certain features within Zoho Flow. And please do not mess with any of the existing settings. Do create a test instance of anything that you would wish to try. All right, so do we have any questions? Okay, I see no questions popping up, but however, I do have a question for you, and that is going to be the first poll for today. Let me quickly roll out a poll. Here we go. Right, so do you use multiple applications that do not talk to each other, meaning, that do not integrate with each other? Okay, looks like we have majority of uh, yes, sir. Okay, perfect. Thank you, guys. Thank you all so much for participating in this. This is going to be extremely useful for you because we're going to talk about a product that is going to help you integrate with hundreds of products that are out there. Okay, and for the agenda, it's going to be a quick introduction to Zoho Flow, followed by the hands-on session, which will be handled by Rahul. And finally, we'll wrap this entire workshop with a quick recap by Anjana. That's it from me. Thank you all so much for your patience. Let me quickly transfer the session over to Rahul. Rahul, the virtual stage is all yours.
Thank you so much, John. Just a quick check. Am I visible and am I audible clearly?
Yes, Rahul.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen. Hope you can see my screen now.
Yep, you're all good to go.
Perfect. All right, John. Thank you again for the introduction. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this session wherein we'll understand this idea of integration and then I'll be showing how things can work out for you. So, I work with the Zoho Flow team and I'm also joined by Gautam here along with Anjana and John. They will be answering your questions. So, first thing first, let's go through the agenda for the day. I'll be walking you through this concept of integration and why it's important, and then we'll move on to understand the Zoho Flow platform and why it's important for you to use, and then we'll see how the product works. And of course, you can ask questions during the session or even at the end of the session, and we'll be answering those. Right. So just to take the context here, you can see in recent years we have been seeing a lot of different applications coming into the picture. You can see it has come to the point where it looks like there is a chaos among the different SaaS applications that different companies, SMBs use, and they end up spending a lot of money, a lot of effort into choosing those applications. It goes to an extent where they end up trying or exploring more than 1,000 applications in their different business functions. And the CFOs of such companies believe that they're using just 30, 40, 50 applications, which is a surprise because you see they explore thousands of applications and then they realize they're not using those number of applications. That's the kind of chaos that we are in when it comes to the SaaS applications. And you can see the numbers here that they end up paying for at least 20 applications, and that goes to around 20, more than $20,000 a month. An average employee of such an organization, such SMBs, basically they end up using at least 35, 36 applications in their daily routine. And while moving data across these apps, they spend at least an hour every day, which is almost a month every year. So you can see a lot of time is being spent on just moving data across apps or managing those applications. So if you look at a simple process, think of an e-commerce store where you can see that the order is being placed either through website or through telephone or anything that they have in their business. Now, you have a system to collect the orders. So if it's an application, you have an app there, then you end up creating an invoice for that order. And when the order is invoiced, you move the details to the inventory team where you just get the orders and the data goes into the inventory team, and that through communication tool goes to the delivery guys or the guys who manage the inventory, and they then ultimately go to the support team who can basically follow up with the purchases that would have happened. So you see, in a simple process like this where the order is being fulfilled, there are 5 applications involved. Now think of this scenario where these applications are not talking to each other, are not moving data across themselves among themselves automatically. A situation like this will make you involve a lot of people into manually doing activities across these functions or applications. So there is a lot of hassle involved, but there is a way out, which is basically the integration. So people integrate applications, they move data across those apps automatically. That has been happening for over for many years now. And what happens is when they do these things, it basically takes care of their daily routine tasks. It eliminates the manual activities that they might be taking care of on daily basis. And it also cuts down the silos across those apps, the apps that are sitting in their own environment, they're not moving data to the other apps. That can be broken down when you integrate those apps. And of course, the data driven decisions can be made because you have the right data in the right apps at the right time, and your communication gets better. You can plan a better business. So that's what you can achieve when you integrate those applications. And some of the research houses also believe that integration is going to be the central to the digital transformation that the companies are thinking of. Red Hat basically in 2020 declared that integration is going to be that initiative or that key activity that companies need to focus on when it comes to making the work or activities more efficient. But when people create those integrations through traditional methods, there are inherent challenges. And those are like it's a lot of code involved, it's code intensive, And when there is a lot of code involved, it will definitely take a lot of time. And if you don't have in-house resources to take care of those coding environments, then you definitely end up, outsourcing it to the capable teams, and that's a lot of money, that's a lot of effort. And these integrations are built across different apps, means they're sitting in a specific environment of that app. So it's decentralized. If you have a CRM integration, if you have a MailChimp integration, or any kind of integration across those apps, those sit in those app environments. And if you want to make a change to those existing integrations, then you have to go and audit in the specific integration section of those apps. That's a lot of inflexibility because you can't easily change those things without a lot of auditing. So you see, there are a lot of challenges when it comes to managing integrations the traditional way. So there has to be a better way, and that's where Zoho Flow comes into the picture. It's the integration platform that eases off all your tensions, all your problems, all your concerns regarding app integrations. Everything that I talked about in the previous slides, Zoho Flow is going to solve those problems. Now, why would you use Zoho Flow? Well, ask you to write code. It's drag and drop builder. You can create integrations across hundreds of applications with just dragging and dropping elements that you want to automate, or the activities that you want to automate. So think of the simple tasks, like on daily basis, you want to send emails, you want to schedule appointments, collect data in your spreadsheets, create invoice, or anything that is routine in nature. You keep on doing, take care of those tasks with simple workflows that you can create in the platform. And not just that, you can also go ahead and create detailed workflows with the help of these features that you see on your screen. There are decision branches. They allow you to branch your workflows based on certain condition being fulfilled or not being fulfilled. Then you have delays. You can delay your workflows for a certain time frame or until a given date, etc. And if you want to run a workflow at a given time or interval, you can use the schedule based trigger. It will execute something at a given time that you decide. You also have this webhook capability inside the platform that allows you to access data from almost any app as long as they support the webhook triggers. And then you also have the coding environment. If you want to go that extra mile, we have the deluge capability wherein you can write your functions and then incorporate those inside the workflows. So you can see Zoho Flow has been able to help our existing users bring in applications more closer. So if you look at these examples here in your slide, uh, the first example shows that there is an integration between people and Click. This is not an existing integration. This is not there with people and Click. It's something that you can create using Zoho Flow, wherein when somebody applies for leave, this can be pushed as a communication to the Click channel or something, which is not existing. So integrations that are not available across these apps can be built using Zoho Flow. Besides that, you also have the option to mitigate the challenges. For example, if you want to create an integration between Zoho Creator to Zoho Projects, you can do that, but it involves a lot of scripting. With Zoho Flow, you can skip that part. And similarly, you can also create sync across apps. So to and fro data movement can be taken care of using Zoho Flow. So you see some of the existing users are very happy with the platform. They believe that Zoho Flow is the deal maker when it comes to working across Zoho applications. And if you're using multiple Zoho or even third-party applications, you will definitely find value in Zoho Flow. And Zoho One user believes that Zoho Flow can integrate with almost anything in Zoho One. So yeah, that's true also. All those 40 plus apps that we have in Zoho One, you can use Zoho Flow to integrate those applications if you have something out of the box that you want to achieve vis-a-vis integration. And besides those 40 plus Zoho applications, Zoho Flow also supports 500 plus third-party applications. So if you want to look at those popular non-Zoho applications and want to integrate them, you can do that using Zoho Flow. Besides that, we also have pre-built templates. These are the workflows that we have built across different applications, and they are sitting in our flow gallery. So if you don't want to get into the builder and plan everything from scratch, you can always go ahead and review these different workflows in the gallery and right away use them without having to worry about the entire process. You can just go ahead and use this flow and authenticate your accounts to start using it. And as I said, Zoho Flow is very important part of Zoho One. We are seeing that more than 30% of Zoho One users have started using Zoho Flow, and it has become one of the most important apps in the entire suite. And you can see that 15,000 plus flows have been built across Zoho applications in the Zoho One suite, to an extent that some people have been able to use at most 6 applications in a single workflow. So they have been able to connect 6 applications to automate their business processes. Now, quickly, we'll get into the product and understand how this works. So the idea here is that Zoho Flow works on this concept of triggers and actions. Trigger is something that starts the workflow. It's that event that you can pick to automate your processes. For example, you get a new email or you get a new task created, you get an entry, you get a new appointment, anything like that can be picked as a trigger. And then actions are various tasks that follow automatically across those apps, or it can be in the same app too. And of course, you can bring in different logic elements like decision delays, etc., and then make the workflows more granular. So here, if you look at an example, say there is a new appointment scheduled in Calendly or in Zoho Bookings or apps like those, you can push the data from that into your data collection tool or your CRM. So those kinds of use cases you can build right away very easily with Zoho Flow. Now we'll get into the product and understand the things that we have discussed in slides. So let's go ahead. You are inside the platform now. We are into flow.zoho.com. And you can see these different cards. These are various workflows that I've created across these different apps. So rather than going into each, we'll quickly go ahead and create one to make you understand how things work here. So let's go ahead and create a case. So the case would be that I want to connect, say, 2 Zoho applications. One would be a data collection app, say Zoho Forms, and the other one would be uh, maybe CRM. So here in this case, we will connect Zoho Forms with Zoho CRM. The idea would be to push the data from Forms to CRM in a simple use case. To do that, you can either click Create Flow on the top right here or in the left menu here. So click on any of these and it will ask you to provide the name and description, because you can have multiple flows in your account and you should be able to identify the flows by their name and the description. So here we'll call it Zoho Forms to Zoho CRM for now. And we'll skip the description for now because it's optional. Click Create. Now, once you have provided the name and description to the workflow, it will take you to the next interface. Sorry about this delay. Sometimes it takes a few moments. So what happens here is you provide the name and then it takes you to the interface where you can choose what is it that is going to start the workflow. So there are different ways in which a workflow can be started. So there you go. After naming it, you'll see these 3 options and this number will keep increasing. For now, we support 3 kinds. One is app-based trigger, which is the simple one that I was explaining in the slides. It's something that helps you capture an event and then automate processes based on those. For example, you get a new email and events like those. And second one is schedule-based trigger, means if you want to run it at a given time or at an interval, you can do that using the second option. And the third one is webhook. It gives you a URL that you can use to collect data from other applications, which are not yet listed with Flow. So we'll go with the simpler one, which is app-based trigger. Let's click configure. And after you have chosen the app-based trigger, it will start showing you all the apps from which you can configure the trigger. So here you can see we have 500 plus apps from which we can configure a trigger. Let's take the simple one, which is forms. So we will search for the forms and then click on the app that we want to pick. After clicking, you go next. Next interface will show you different triggers that this particular application supports. So here in this case, there is just one. We also have the provision where you can see the older versions. Sometimes when the APIs get updated, we leave the older versions available for users to move from the older ones to newer ones. So here there is just one. Let's click on that and move to the next step. But before we go next, let's just take a look at this tag. This is real-time tag, means the executions that will happen through this trigger will be real-time. These are webhook-based trigger. And sometimes you'll be seeing polling here. So those are the executions which are interval-based. They take they execute at 5 minutes or 15 minutes based on the plan that you're in. So we have chosen the trigger here. Go next. And next window will show you the connection. This is basically the authentication that you create. This is the way for Zoho Flow to access data from your accounts. So here you can see connection is what you can create using this new button on the right side. So click on this and it will show you how to create a connection. So you provide a name. For example, let's call Frank's latest forms connection. Now the thing is, you can use the same connection across different uh, workflows. So you should be able to give proper names so that you can always go back and identify what connection does what job or where those connections are being used. So name it and authorize. After authorizing, you'll see that it asks you to accept the authentication. Now, different applications have different authentication schemes. This one is OAuth based. Sometimes you'll see auth token. So here, if you accept, you'll go back to the same interface and your connection will be created. But at times you might be asked to copy the auth token and paste in the fields that are presented in the connections. So those are very easy to follow. Now, once the connection is created, you'll see those fields have started popping up. So all the forms that are sitting inside the forms account are showing up here. We can pick any of those. For example, this registration form is the one that I want to connect with CRM. So I've taken the form and I've clicked done here. Now, once you've clicked done, it will complete the process of trigger creation. Now you have landed into the workflow builder. This is where this whole drag and drop activity starts. So you can now start adding those tasks that you want to execute automatically in the same app or different applications. So here, our idea is to connect to CRM. So on the left, you can see these 500 plus apps that you have. You can pick any of these and take one of the tasks that you want to automate. So we'll go ahead and search for CRM and go to the drop down. In the drop down, you can see there are different tasks. You can add a tag, add a user. In CRM, you can do a lot of things using Zoho Flow. So here our idea would be to simply create a lead. So take the create module entry as the task, drag and drop it here. Now once you drop it, a similar interface opens the way it opened for the trigger, and it will ask you to authenticate an account. So you can either create a new connection, or if you have already done this earlier, you can use one of those. So I'll take this one. And once the connection is chosen, it will again start pulling in details from the account. So you see it has started pulling all the modules. So I'll take the leads module because that's where I want to make an entry. Choose the layout. And once you've chosen the layout, it will start pulling all the details, all the fields. So you can see here the company name. Now, what we are doing here is we are trying to create a mapping between Zoho Forms and Zoho CRM so that when an entry is made, when a submission is made in Zoho Forms, the relevant data will move into the relevant fields of CRM. So that you can do by creating the mapping, which is what we can create here. So if you click on the right side, you'll see the variables. These are the values that are coming in from forms, because that's what we have configured as our trigger. Now this gives us all these values. What we can do is we can map these values with the respective fields here in CRM's leads module. Click on company and map the company name from the right side here. The moment you click it, it creates the map here. Similarly, you can create the first name, you can create the last name. You could also create full name, for example, here, first name space, last name. You have the email ID. There are a lot of values. Maybe I can take phone number also and skip all these fields that are optional. If you see the red star, that means you have to definitely have certain value for that field. We don't have any. So now let's go ahead and click done. And our workflow is ready. All we need to do now is just go ahead and switch it on. So that you can do here on top right. Click on this and your workflow is live to execute. So we can test that now by going to forms. And this is the one that we had connected. Sorry about that. Let me refresh it. So yes, this is the form that we have. We will make an entry here. So let's just give it a name. I'm just making an entry to test the flow. Company name, let's call it Zulker. Its value we have not mapped, so we can skip. Click submit. And with this submission, our flow should execute. Now you can test that either by going into the Zoho Flow, or you could directly go to Zoho CRM to check if the data has come in as a lead. So we'll go back to Flow first. And here you can see beside the builder on the left, you have the summary for the workflow. So everything that happens in the workflow, you can see that in summary. And on the right side, you have history. So history is something that shows you all the execution details. So right now there is a slight delay here. Let me refresh. Okay, so sometimes for the sanity purpose, people keep delays in the APIs. So while this happens, we'll proceed and we can come back to check the execution. Let's close this. And this workflow sits here right at the bottom of this account. So we'll come back here later. Now that you've seen how simple workflows can be created, we will now move on to look at some of the pre-built workflows that I've created to show you how you can use those features inside the workflows, and how the things can be detailed or made complex vis-a-vis your processes that you might have. So here there is one example that I would like to explain. This is auto escalate ticket. In this example, I have taken desk as the trigger. So desk is our customer support application that allows you to help your users through ticket creation and all. So here we have ticket creation as the trigger. So you can see we have configured this as a trigger. Now the idea here in this entire use case is that when a ticket is created, then I want to understand whether this ticket is coming in from a very important customer or an important deal that is still being discussed. So if that happens, I want to serve that prospect or customer properly. So that's the kind of SLA that we are trying to create in this use case. New ticket got created. Now second step is searching for the contact in CRM using the email ID of this ticket. So that's the step that you can always go to, say, CRM here and search for certain values. So for example, here you can see fetch module entry. So this is something that allows you to search for certain entity using the unique identifier that you might have. It could be an ID, it could be an email ID, etc. So Here you can see I'm getting the email of this ticket here on the right side. And using this email, I'm trying to search the contact in CRM. So you can see I have mapped this email ID. So search item is this email ID. And through this, we are going to find whether there is a contact in CRM or not. Now, assuming that there is a contact, I am now checking whether there is a deal associated with this contact or not. So for that, again, I'm searching for the deal. So here you can see the fetch module entry allows me to do that. I'm mapping the account name from this second step. So account name basically carries all the other details, for example, the deal amount and other values that you might be looking at. So here I have mapped the account name so that I would know what is happening to the deal. So I have fetched the contact, basically searched the contact, and then fetched the associated deal with the contact. And now I'm making a decision. So this is what you can achieve using these logic elements on the top left. So here you can see the logic elements. If you go to the logic elements, you can see various features like flow control elements. So these are the values that these are the flow control elements that you have. First one is set variable, second is decision, and third is delay. Set variable allows you to collect your own or create your own values and then pass on to the other steps. Decision allows you to branch your workflows based on certain condition being fulfilled or not being fulfilled. And delay allows you to pause your workflow for a given time frame or until a given date. So here in this case, we are using decision and the delay and later decision again. So what we have done is we have pulled the deal details of this contract, and now we are making a decision. So what we did was we just dragged and dropped it here somewhere below the fetch contact. So once you drag and drop it here, it will open a window like this, and this will show you all the values that are sitting here. So you can see that the amount has come in from, I'm sorry, it's taking some time. Let me open it again. Sorry, it's stuck. I'm sorry, this completely crashed. All right, so open the decision, and you can see these are the values that are coming in from previous steps. So all the trigger the actions that you have configured, all the values will be coming in here. So under fetch contact, and then you have fetch deal, all those values will be showing up. So under the deal, you have all these details. Now what we have done here is we have taken the amount from the deal and made a decision. So you can see if the amount is greater than $10,000. So this is what we have made, we have added as a condition that if the amount is more than $10,000, then based on my business criteria, it's a high deal value contact. So if this decision is fulfilled, then we branch the workflow to the right side. This is the conditional branching, means the condition is fulfilled. And if it is not fulfilled, then you can take this branch, which is default branch. So here we are taking the condition and then delaying the workflow for an hour. So here you can see under the logic elements, you have delay. You drag and drop it here, and it will ask you to delay for a certain time or even until a given date. So I have delayed it for say 1 hour, and then I'm again searching for the ticket. So here you can see the fetch ticket allows you to uh, pull back the ticket and see the status and all the details. So here you can see I have pulled the ticket details. Sorry, it's taking time. And after fetching, you again made a decision here wherein we are checking the status of the ticket. So if the status is open, that means nobody has looked at the ticket and it should be escalated, it should be taken care of. That's when you can probably send an email or send a Slack, click message. You can just escalate the way you want. So you can see using certain flow control elements, we have been able to create an SLA through this workflow. Uh, Similarly, we'll look at one more workflow to understand how you can go that extra mile and write your own code in your workflows. So let's close this and go to the next one, which is ticket sentiment. So this is similar workflow, but the difference is that besides trigger, we have added code to read through the ticket. So here, in this case, we again have the same trigger, which is new ticket created. And this, we are trying to read through a code. So here you can see we have added this get ticket sentiment. This is a code that we have written using this custom function. So if you click on this, you'll see all these different functions that are written. You can write your own if you want using this button. Click on this and it will ask you to provide the name, the return type, and different parameters that you want to add. And with that, you can create your function. It opens an environment. Sorry about that. I'll open an existing one. So let's see this function that we have already created for this workflow. When you try to create, it opens an environment like this where you can write your own code, and then it goes and sits like any other task under the custom functions section. So here in this case, what we are doing is we are reading through the description of the ticket, and we are running a simple code on the description so that we can get certain return. And the return, it can be either negative or positive. Based on it being either positive or negative, we conclude and we make a decision. So here, the so this is the case I was trying to explain. Um, New ticket again is the trigger, and as I was trying to show that with the help of custom functions, you can write your own code. Click on this and it opens a window like this where you can provide all the details. And once you try to create, it will open an interface like this where you can write your own code. I was just trying to explain how this code works. If you know custom function, you'll definitely understand. So that's where you can write the functions, and those functions will go ahead and sit in the same environment here under the custom functions section, and you can drag and drop them anytime, anywhere you want. So here we have dropped the get sentiment function and mapped it with the description of the ticket. So it goes and reads the ticket, gives the return, and we then again made a decision whether it's negative or not. So here it's negative, and if it's negative, that means it needs to be escalated, it needs to be taken care of. That's what you can achieve using the custom functions. And you can see we have all kinds of functions that we can create. You can format dates, you can format data types, you can add different values together and get a return. All sorts of functions you can write. So I hope you understand if you know Deluge. So that's what ticket sentiment analysis basically does in this case. And idea was to explain the custom function part to you through this example. Let's close this. And I was going back to the flow that I had created just to show you how the history works.
Hi, Ragul. It's me
So
again,
here,
Anjana here.
if you
Ragul,
click
can
on,
you hear me?
yes, I can hear. Is it
Again,
again?
yeah, again, your screen has gone. I apologize. Do you mind again sharing your screen, please?
I don't know why this is happening. Just a moment. It shows stop sharing. That looks like it's already shared.
Right. Or
Let
can
me
you?
stop and start. Just a moment.
Screen is because exactly because of yeah. Now it's again coming up.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. I apologize. I think it's just
I'm really sorry. I think it's the bad network that's playing with me here.
not a problem. Yeah. Now your screen is up.
All
Thank
right,
you.
perfect. So I was just quickly trying to show that, the workflow that I had created, you have the output from the form that we had connected, and that through the mapping went as input in the respective fields of CRM, and that ultimately created the lead in CRM. So that's what I was trying to show. If something doesn't work, you can always go back and check what went wrong. For example, if you go to the earlier day, maybe last week, nothing there here to date. It's the only one that I have. So yeah, sometimes you'll see this as red and it will show you the error. If you click on that, you can see the output having error or input having certain error, and that way you can figure out what has gone wrong if something has not executed. You also have the scope of rerunning the workflow if something hasn't worked. So that's what history does to you. And So that was about how Zoho Flow works. You have other details like, looking at the account management. So here you see Zoho Flow is priced based on the tasks that you use. These are basically the API calls that are made. So you can always go and look at all the execution details. And Zoho Flow is org account by default, which means you can have an org and be part of multiple orgs if you want. So here you can see if you click manage, Frank is part of these different orgs. At any point in time, you can delete the one that you are the owner of and leave the org if you want. So that's how you can manage your orgs. And you have the resources that you can look at while working with the product. So you can read through our documentation, and if you want to send an email contextually, you can do that using this interface. So that's on the help side. And on the left, you have the main dashboard, which shows all the execution details, like which ones have worked, how many flows are live and paused, etc. And then you also have the latest executions and top flows. So this is subject to improvements. So that's dashboard, and then you have settings. Under settings, you have the org profile details. You can always edit those if you want. And then you have history, which shows the overall execution details. So you can see the failed ones I was talking about. Something goes wrong and you can see the error. And connection is, these are those authentications that you create across different accounts. So you could see that I had created this latest forms account. I can always go ahead and delete if I want. And I also have the option of sharing a connection so that other people in this org can go ahead and use the connection to create workflows. You can test them, reconnect them, or create new ones in the same environment if you want. And then you have members. These are the people who are part of your org. You can always add or remove members or change their roles if you want. So all those things you can achieve. You can invite new ones. And then you have the audit trail. This shows the activities that people do in these accounts. So this is basically for the accountability purpose. Different members do different things, and that should be accounted for. That's what audit trail does for you. And then you have support access. So if you click on this allow support access, then it allows Zoho Flow team to look at your workflows. They can review it if you need help. So that's on the support access side. And the last but not least, the gallery. This is what I was trying to highlight in the slides also, that each app has certain pre-built workflows that you can go ahead and use right away. So you can see that if I click on this, use this flow, it will take me to the builder, and I can go ahead and right away create the connections and use those across my workflows. So there is a little lag there. So this is what it is. Now I'm done on the presentation side. What we can do is we can go back to the slides and do a quick activity so that we all will be on the same page. So here, sorry, there is. So the case is like this. You have a new ticket that gets created in desk, and based on that, you want to create a task in CRM. So let's go ahead and do that one by one. So first thing first, all you need to do is go to the product. This guy is playing with me. It delayed when I was trying to use the flow from gallery. So this is what it is. You can always use the flows through gallery. The moment you click configure, it will open just like any other flow interface. So let's close this. And our idea now is to create a desk to CRM flow. So let's name the flow and click create. So as per the steps, you pick a trigger type. So go ahead to your account if you already are set and pick this app-based trigger. Click configure and it will show you all the apps that you have. So you have picked the trigger type. Now you're picking the application. So let's pick the desk app. and click next. If you face any issues, please ping in the chat and one of us will try to help you. Next interface is basically the different triggers that Zoho Desk supports. So you can see that we have ticket creation as one of those triggers. So pick that and go next. So you can see we have picked the trigger. Now we are trying to create a connection. This connection, as I was telling, is the authentication that we create. So you can either create a new connection or use the existing one that you might have. So you can see we already have a trigger. We already have a connection. And once the connection is chosen, it will pull the portal details. If you click on this, it will ask you for the department. I'm sorry, there is a lag here. So we'll wait for it. Good that we are waiting on this. So we'll be creating the connection. And once that is done, I think it will again try to crash. So create connection. I hope you're able to, I'll go to the chat and check if you have been able to create the connection. Right. Okay, there is something wrong here, which is not working out. Okay, I'll take something that is coming in. Let's try clicking done. So it's half cooked, but this is how it works. You have created the ticket as a trigger. And now next would be to create a task in Zoho CRM. So that you can do by going into CRM on the left. Click on the drop down. And you can see create module entry. So you drag and drop it here. Drag and drop will open the interface like this. So we have already picked the app and then dropped the task. Now the next step would be to map the fields. So here, choose a connection and choose a module. You can choose any module, or our idea is to choose task here. So we are trying to create a task in CRM. So take the subject. So we are doing the mapping. You can take the subject here. This could be just the ticket subject. So let's take the, well, it's not coming here because we had it half cooked. I'll click done first. Just keep it like this and open it. Trying a new connection just for the sake of safety here. Right, so once the connection is created, we'll see what went wrong there, but something wrong on the bandwidth side, I believe. Anyways, let's close this and go to the chat, see if everybody has been able to. Yeah, if you're missing something, because I'm struggling with the connection here. In case you need help, please ping us there and we'll try to help you there. Something is not working out. Let's just take this. No. Okay, we'll skip this part because it's taking a lot of time. So the idea was that you go ahead and map the fields. and you switch on the flow. So I hope you might have been able to do that. And I'll just quickly go to the questions and see if there is any. Well, Gautam is already answering. So I think we'll have to leave it as it is because not everything is coming the way we want it. So anyways, you see in place of subject, I have mapped something else, but when your connection is complete, you'll see a subject field here. You map that and your task detail is done. So you click done and your workflow will be ready. You switch it on and your workflow will be good to go. So that's on the activity side. Now I'm done from my end. I leave it to Anjana to take it forward. Thank you so much, guys, for your patience. Thank you again. Anjana, on to you.
Good morning to everybody. It's really nice to see you all. Thank you, Rahul. I'm definitely sure it's a pretty interesting session today on Flow, as we all get to know about Flow as well. It's relatively new application. So, as you all know, that before jumping into my recap slides, I'm just going to run a couple of polls, which is quite generic. Not to worry, this is pretty simple as well. But I just want to give you a heads up that if you have any questions, please pop in the questions tab because our product expert Gautam is available online. He's actually answering all the questions rapidly, so it will be easy for him to answer each question. And then we have a handout as well available. Please make sure you actually download before the end of this session. So there are some useful links about the knowledge base, and there are some about Flow as well. So it must be very handy for you guys. So jumping into the second poll of the day, what would be one application that you wish Zoho Flow integrate with? This is an absolutely open-end question, so feel free to answer, and this would be very helpful for us, from our product end as well. I can see people saying Google Sheets as well coming up, and a few more answers coming in. Microsoft Teams and Outlook. Great. I'm just going to give a few more seconds for everybody to answer. As I can see, this is an open-end question as well as creator and CRM. Many have said social media, yeah, the answer is quite big. So the last poll for the day: what, in your opinion, would be the best to automate business process? This is a very generic question as well, where this would help us to get an opinion and I mean maybe a suggestion as well and an understanding, I would say. I'm just going to give a few more seconds there as well. Right. Thank you so much for participating, guys. So, jumping into today's session's recap. So, as you would see that Rahul, he gave us a very good introduction about Flow, and he also explained the benefits of integration. Furthermore, he also explained the challenges faced by the traditional method as well. And further, he moved on and tried to explain like why Zoho Flow would be very good for your business and how it could make your automation process seamlessly and how Zoho Flow works as well. And as I said, Q&A, it's an ongoing process. Please feel free to pop your question, ask difficult questions as well. So we have the expert here to answer your questions. So if nothing pops at the moment, not a problem. You could also email us at support@zohoflow.com. We are available 24 into 5 as well. And I've got some exciting news as well. So we have a couple of workshops coming up on commerce as well as on Zoho One. My colleague will be posting the registration link as well in the chat box. This is absolutely for free. Please make sure you register them by today. And our product expert will help you to go through about the commerce and Zoho One, and yeah, many more as well. Interactive. It's going to be more of an interactive session as well. And any feedback in our workshop, please make sure you give your opinion. So once you exit this session, there'll be a form which pops up. Please make sure you answer them. So this would definitely help us in our future workshop. I once again take this opportunity on behalf of Zoho team. Thank you so much for your time. I can see a lot of repetitive audience as well. You guys have been super supportive for us. Take care and please stay safe. And I hope to see you guys next week. Thank you.